Between Peter's reckless antics, Lois's hidden dark side, and Chris's total lack of social awareness, the Griffin family has crossed the line more times than we can count.
It's okay, I'm not a teacher.
Chris, go to your room.
Sure thing, Mom. Just one more sniff of finesse.
But every now and then, they do something so highly questionable, so deeply uncomfortable, and so incredibly weird that you just have to step back and ask, what were they thinking? Today, we are breaking down the most sus moments in Family Guy. Let's start the show. Kicking off our list of the absolute most sus moments is Season 12, Episode 9, Peter Problems. What happens when a man loses his job, his confidence, and his ability to perform in the bedroom? Well, Quagmire decides to step in and offer the most deeply uncomfortable, hands-on help imaginable. Let's break it down. It all starts when Peter actually gets some rare good news at work. He is officially promoted to forklift operator.
Griffin, I actually came to tell you that you're being promoted to forklift operator.
Really? That's awesome!
Now, giving Peter Griffin the keys to heavy machinery sounds like a recipe for a citywide disaster, but surprisingly, he absolutely crushes it. He becomes a true forklift pro. But of course, Peter lets the power completely go to his head. He decides to use the forklift to tip over and chug an entire massive vat of beer at the brewery.
Very well.
Shockingly, his boss Angela doesn't appreciate the stunt, and Peter is immediately fired for gross negligence. With no income for 3 whole weeks, Lois has to step up and become the breadwinner, landing a job as a manager at the local grocery store.
Hey guys, great news! You're looking at the new assistant store manager of Stop & Shop.
This forces Peter into the unfamiliar role of the stay-at-home housewife.
You're gonna need to cook the meals and do laundry and take care of Stewie like I've been doing.
Are you serious? Dad's gonna run the house?
Hey, I can do it!
But this total role reversal completely destroys Peter's ego. When Lois tries to reward him with a little romantic intimacy after a long shift,
Jeez, Lois, is that all you think about? I'm tired.
Come on, Peter, I need this release.
Peter realizes he is suffering from some severe performance issues.
Oh, work. I suppose work is why you missed Chris's father-son picnic.
Let's just say his manhood has basically turned into a sad, sleepy caterpillar.
You can't get a You're a failure as a man and a father.
Embarrassed and desperately looking for answers, Peter heads down to the Drunken Clam to talk to the guys.
Oh, please don't make me go home and disappoint my wife yet again!
And this is where things get incredibly sus. Quagmire decides the best way to cure Peter's problem is to literally step in and puppet Peter's lower half like a marionette.
You sure this is gonna work, Quagmire?
Of course, this isn't the first time I've rigged up a puppet. I now have full control over your genitals.
Yes, you heard that right. Quagmire attaches strings and starts manipulating Peter's private area like he's putting on a weird, deeply inappropriate puppet show. It is an absolute nightmare of a visual, looking like an unmanned fire hose. And to make it even worse, Joe actually asks for a turn. Thankfully, that completely traumatizing strategy doesn't work. Quagmire quickly realizes that Peter's issues are purely psychological. He has been totally emasculated by losing his status as the provider of the house. To fix things, the guys march back to the brewery to beg Angela to rehire him.
There's only one thing that's gonna restore your masculinity. We gotta get you your old job back.
Peter actually cashes in a hand-drawn Valentine's Day coupon for 1 free redo for gross negligence, and surprisingly, it actually works.
This one's for free. Welcome back, Griffin.
With his job back, Peter's confidence instantly returns,
And you know what? Something else is working now, too.
Oh my!
and he and Lois celebrate by getting highly inappropriate right in the middle of aisle 6 at the grocery store.
Oh, Peter!
Coming in hot with our next entry, we have Season 5, Episode 6, Prick Up Your Ears. What happens when a high school cancels its health class and enforces strict abstinence instead? Well, Lois decides to prove a point by completely crossing the line and aggressively forcing Peter to break his newfound celibacy. Let's get into it. It all starts with every parent's worst nightmare. Lois walks in on Chris and his friends watching some highly questionable, spicy videos. Oh, and Stewie is hanging out right there with them, just to make things extra disturbing. Chris tries to defend himself, claiming he has to learn somehow because the school cut funding and fired the health teacher.
Well, somebody's gotta step in. Tomorrow, I'm going down to James Woods High and offer to teach the class myself.
Hearing this, Lois steps up and volunteers to teach the class herself. And you can just imagine the lifetime of trauma Chris is about to endure. Lois tries to teach the kids about protection, but then Peter bursts in to offer his own completely useless expertise.
Now, there are a number of natural ways that males and females interact, and
That's right. Allow me to demonstrate. Hey, Rainbow Bright. Hello, Shakespeare.
Their combined efforts are an absolute disaster, sparking a massive protest from the local parents. As a result, Lois gets fired, and the school brings in a strict reverend to teach an abstinence-only seminar. The reverend feeds the kids absolute nonsense, claiming that protection fails 100% of the time and is incredibly dangerous. Shockingly, the students actually buy into it. Even Meg comes home with a book full of anti-intimacy propaganda. Naturally, Peter is the only other person in the house gullible enough to read it and completely brainwash himself, immediately vowing to become totally celibate.
I'll be as untouched as the turn signal in an Asian woman's car.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None?
Later that night, Lois decides it's time for a little bedroom roleplay to snap him out of it. She steps into the room dressed as Grimacy from McDonald's. Yes, really. But when she tries to get things going, she discovers Peter has locked himself in an actual Frustrated, she drops the giant purple costume and storms into Meg's room to complain about the propaganda book, but she immediately catches Meg and her boyfriend getting plenty of action. Let's just say Meg found a very weird, highly unhygienic loophole, involving her ear to stay technically abstinent. Yeah, we're going to just skip right past that visual.
Well, I don't care what you think. Doug and I are part of the Opal Ring Crusade, and this is how we choose to express our love.
Furious that she's the only one not getting any attention, Lois marches back into her bedroom to deal with Peter. And this is where Lois loses any redeeming qualities she ever had. She tries to tempt Peter, but when he refuses, she literally forces herself on him against his will. Because this is Family Guy, it's just played off as a joke once Peter realizes he actually enjoys it, but wow, Lois, you really took that way too far. To wrap things up, Lois and Peter break into the school assembly to expose the Reverend's lies. She lectures the kids on the importance of boundaries and consent, which is incredibly sweet, but also hilariously ironic considering what she just did to her husband 20 minutes ago.
And if you do make the choice to act on them, make sure you protect yourselves.
Coming in at number 3 on our list of Quahog's most sus moments is Season 22, Episode 11, Teacher's Heavy Pet. What happens when a desperate teenager will do absolutely anything to sit at the cool kids' table? Well, Chris crosses a massive, unforgivable boundary by sneaking a highly inappropriate photo of his own mother. Let's get into this absolute disaster. The mess kicks off when Chris is elected as the high school's homecoming dunce for the 4th year in a row.
4 years in a row is nothing to be proud of.
Dynasty.
Naturally, he is incredibly depressed about his rock-bottom social status. To make matters worse, Lois announces that she has just landed a job as a substitute teacher at his school.
You saw how unpopular I am at school. Having my mother as a teacher will make things worse.
Worried that having his mom around will totally ruin whatever tiny reputation he has left, Lois promises to go undercover using her maiden name, Mrs. Pewterschmidt.
Maybe I'll wear a blonde wig. Might even add a sexy beauty mark so I look like Marilyn Monroe.
But her disguise works a little too well. All the popular guys at school start crushing hard on the mysterious new substitute.
Oh my god, they're all leering at my mom. This is more embarrassing than when Dad ruined my birthday party.
When they invite Chris to sit with them, they ask if he thinks she is attractive.
Yeah, I guess she's a total hottie.
Chris awkwardly agrees, and realizing he finally has a chance to be cool, he spins a wild lie, claiming that he actually hooked up with her.
Well, let's just say she and I slept together.
And shockingly, the popular crowd totally buys it and starts treating him like an absolute king.
Easy, I'm husky.
But you know how high school rumors work. Eventually, the cool kids start smelling a bluff and demand that Chris provide some actual proof.
We want a picture picture of Miss P, or you're a liar.
They tell him he has to secure a highly revealing picture of Mrs. Pewterschmidt, or he is permanently banned from their group.
Get us a picture of her, and until then, go sit with the angry hearing aid kids.
Oh, look who it is.
And this is where things get completely sus. Chris actually sneaks into the family bathroom while Lois is in the shower to take the picture. He hesitates for a second.
I can't. It's my mom. I'm not a dirtbag.
But suddenly Quagmire, who is literally cosplaying as the bathroom wall, encourages Chris to embrace his inner dirtbag. Honestly, Quagmire hiding in the wall is already a massive red flag.
In order to find real happiness, you must learn to love yourself for the totality of who you are. Portia de Rossi.
But Chris actually taking his terrible advice makes it a million times worse. He snaps the photo. The next day, Chris shows the picture to the guys and makes them promise not to share it.
Of course not. We're best pals.
Shocker, they instantly send it to absolutely everyone in the school, including the principal. Lois gets called into the office, assuming she is in trouble for lying about her college degree, only to be confronted with the highly inappropriate picture.
How did a student get this nude photo of you?
Okay, I don't hate that angle, but I think I know who took this.
Furious, Lois storms home and gives Chris an ultimatum. Either he tells the truth or she will.
Chris, if people think I'm sleeping with a student, I could go to jail. You know, you are gonna march into school tomorrow and tell everyone the truth.
Chris finally comes clean to the popular kids and his reputation instantly crumbles. But seeing her son lose all his friends actually breaks Lois's heart.
I hope everyone can forgive me and see that I just wanted a few friends.
Loser.
So, in a wildly questionable parenting move, she completely backtracks and tells the kids that Chris's fake story is actually true.
Chris Griffin was the biggest thing I ever had.
The episode ends with Chris keeping his popular status, while Lois is hauled off to serve a 6-year prison sentence for having an inappropriate relationship with a student. I guess that is one way to show your kids how much you love them. Wrapping up our list of the absolute most sus moments is Season 8, Episode 7, Jerome is the New Black. What happens when Brian tries to force his way into Peter's inner circle? Well, Quagmire decides it's the perfect time to brutally lay out every single hypocritical, highly questionable thing the dog has ever done. Let's break it down. With Cleveland officially moved out of town, Peter and the guys are on the hunt for a brand new 4th member for their crew.
We need a new 4th guy for our group. We're a man short, like Statler without Waldorf.
Thinking this is his big chance, Brian happily offers to step in and fill the void. But Peter quickly shuts him down, dropping a massive, awkward truth bomb. Quagmire actually completely despises him. Refusing to accept that someone doesn't like him, Brian decides to force an interaction to figure out why.
What are you doing just standing out here?
I'm waiting for Quagmire to get his mail. I'm gonna conveniently stroll by and strike up a conversation.
He bumps into Quagmire and tries to make casual small talk about Quagmire's date, insensitively pointing out that she looks severely bruised. Well, that backfires horribly when Quagmire reveals the woman is actually his sister, Brenda.
That's my sister, Brian. Her boyfriend has been her mercilessly. The last thing she'd want right now is to be objectified.
Oh, God, I'm really sorry.
And she is dealing with an incredibly toxic, highly aggressive partner.
You feel good about your joke earlier, Brian? He's savagely beating her again. You hear that?
Yeah, I'm not deaf.
Not exactly the best icebreaker, Brian. But instead of taking the hint and walking away, Brian doubles down and plots a deeply sus, incredibly manipulative scheme.
How'd you convince him to go?
I tricked him, sent him a phony card. He thinks he's going on a date with an old girlfriend.
He sends Quagmire a fake invitation to a fancy dinner, pretending it's from the absolute love of his life, Cheryl Tieggs.
Brian, Cheryl was the one that got away. She was the great love of my life. I thought this was my chance to finally achieve some real happiness.
Imagine thinking you are finally reuniting with your soulmate, only to show up and see your best friend's pretentious dog sitting across the table. During dinner, Brian tries to force the small talk, asking Quagmire incredibly basic questions like how airplanes work.
You want me to sit here and explain to you how a plane works?
I don't know, yeah.
You want to maybe just go?
Unsurprisingly, Quagmire is totally unamused by the awful conversation. Finally, Brian drops the act and just flat out asks why Quagmire doesn't like him. And that is when Quagmire completely unloads, delivering the most ruthless reality check in the history of the show. Quagmire tears into every single one of Brian's character flaws. He calls him out for constantly hitting on Lois despite Peter paying for his food and rescuing him from certain death. He rips into Brian's fake intellectual persona, pointing out that he acts deep, but only dates shallow girls. He even roasts his lack of religious beliefs.
Oh, wait, you don't believe in Jesus Christ, or any religion for that matter, because religion is for idiots.
Saying Brian just uses his atheism to feel superior to everyone else. Quagmire wraps up his absolutely epic rant by officially branding Brian as nothing more than a sad, boring, heavily drinking hypocrite.
That's the worst of it, Brian. You're just a big, sad, alcoholic bore.
Honestly, Brian has done a lot of highly questionable things over the years, but tricking Quagmire into a fake romantic dinner just to get absolutely destroyed might be the most uncomfortable, sus moment of them all.
Do you want to know something? That's okay. You don't need Quagmire to like you. You only need one person to like you, and that person is you.